Welcome to my channel. This is the Diamond Chrysalis, aka Divested Diamonds. This is Divestment with Purpose, and you have arrived. Greetings and salutations, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks for being here today. Please do me a favor and click the like button as you watch this video. Thank you kindly. In today's premiere, we're going to talk about a couple of videos that went viral a while ago. As you probably know, this channel isn't about breaking viral videos as soon as they come out. There is no expiration date for lessons learned, especially when it comes to issues that concern us as Black women. I'm sure most, if not all of you, have seen these videos, but we're going to dive in and talk about them anyway. Without further ado, let's get started.
Okay, I haven't been on TikTok for a bit, and I noticed everyone was tagging me in that whole Andrew Schultz thing about Black women. I'll make a different comment about Andrew Schultz and that little rat Akash thing, but I want to say something about Black women, and this was my mother, and I God is my witness right now. May the Lord strike me down if I'm lying. My mother told me and my siblings when we were young kids, before I remember it was when my older brother started secondary school. It was a big deal. My older brother going off to the big boy school, and my mum sat us down. And she said, if you're ever in trouble out there in the real world, look for a Black woman. My mum said this. My mum was raised in this country from the age of 6, the UK. She said, look for a Black woman. She said, anywhere in the world, a Black woman will help you. She was never wrong. But it's incredible that my mother said that. And I don't know what my mum went through. But I remember seeing photos of my mum in school when she was in high school and stuff. And she had loads of Black friends and stuff. And they were all Black women. Because my mum wasn't a pick-me. She only had female friends. And so she obviously felt some protection. And growing up for me, I noticed in my school, it was a very predominantly white school. The Black teachers looked out for me. I had a Black Jamaican teacher called Mrs. Forrester. She looked out for me. But even outside of school, when I started growing out my hair, it was a Black woman that taught me how to look after my curls, what products to use. It's Black women that built me up on this platform and got me to where I am. I have to give credit to where credit is due. It was women in general, but Black women specifically, who boosted me and told me how pretty I was and how great I was.
So let me preface by saying that I don't believe that this content creator posted this video with malice. I don't think that he did this to intentionally hurt Black women. All this tells me is that it speaks to his lack of self-awareness, and that he operates from a certain level of privilege that he may or may not be aware of. I personally believe that he actually thought his words would be somewhat soothing to Black women, a breath of fresh air perhaps, but it fell flat. And here's why. This whole idea of viewing Black women as mammies is almost expected in a lot of cultures. The quote-unquote mammification of Black women is something that's been going on for quite a while now. The irritating thing is that the majority of people out there have a lot of negative things to say about us and our image, yet they will not hesitate to use us when in need. I'll give you a quick example. The past few months have been very interesting on the political side of TikTok. You've had groups of Black female content creators who've gone out of their way to openly support Palestinians with what's going on between them and the untouchables. And while most of us do not agree with the red rum of any group of people, these Black women have been expected to be at the forefront of that group's activism. At some point, things got so bad that these same black female supporters were expected to vote a certain way during the election in order to help those people in that region. Now, I'm not really sure how anybody would have thought that voting a certain way would end whatever is going on in that region, but I digress. And while my heart goes out to people in that region, I'm of the belief that American citizens are supposed to vote for their own interests because we too have our own issues. Anyway, fast forward to post-election. A lot of black women came to find out that a lot of those people whose ancestry connects to that region, individuals who are in this country, those who are able to vote for the quote-unquote betterment of their relatives over in that region, decided to vote opposite of what was agreed between them and black people, black women specifically. Are you still with me? I hope so. There was a lot of back and forth between the black content creators and the other side, which quickly turned into anti-blackness. You know how it is. A lot of these people will tell you exactly how they feel once you piss them off. Black women soon came to realize that those individuals were only tolerating them in their spaces and using them to help their causes. When black women turned around and said to those people that they were done helping them out and they would now concentrate on helping themselves instead and improve their own lives here in the US, the other side got really angry, and that fueled even more anti-blackness. And this is what I'm talking about when I say that a lot of other groups of people don't have an issue using us for our emotional labor and support when it's convenient for them. Anyway, back to this guy. His comments may have come off seemingly harmless to certain people, but they were harmful to black women, hence the backlash. Everybody has something negative to say about black women until they need something from us. We're supposed to be loud, aggressive, masculine, ghetto baby mamas, etc. We're allegedly all these negative things, yet at the same time, people do not mind using us for all of our free emotional and physical labor. They don't mind telling their kids to look for one of us to take care of them. So this begs the question, if we as black women were so bad, why are people comfortable being in our spaces? If we were so bad, why would you want your kid around black women? And I'm sure this woman had a different experience with her black female friends, but isn't that the general consensus? We're constantly being used one way or another. And for a lot of these people, we're only useful to them as long as they're getting something out of us. And I know that this happened across the pond in the UK, but this is a global attitude and mindset that a lot of other races and ethnicities seem to have when it comes to black women. Our support for all other ethnicities moves mountains. And please don't give me the, things are different in the UK, because they're not. And I know for a fact that South Asian and black people aren't holding hands, skipping together in a field of daisies. Like, stop it. Individual situations, perhaps, but it's not the norm. Our support for all other ethnicities moves mountains. Our voices, believe it or not, carry a lot of weight, especially when we advocate for others. The only time we get drowned out is when we speak up for ourselves. Nobody takes our issues seriously, nor do they want to hear what's going on with us. Anytime a black woman has an issue about something, we're told to get over it. We are told to lift ourselves by our bootstraps. We're told to stop being such victims. Even when we're being deleted, a lot of people don't want to hear about it. Our stories get buried and forgotten. The reason other people feel they can continue these abuses, because that's what they are, is due to how reactive, how passionate, and how loyal most Black women can be. They use our resilience and our strength to their advantage. If the shoe was on the other foot, this is what you'd get. A lot of these people, sadly, wouldn't piss on a Black woman if she were on fire, but will use her for support because they see us as tools that can be used to make their lives easier. Most South Asian people, not all, don't even like Black people. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. It may be a hot take, but it's true. And here's the thing, making this statement doesn't make it divisive. I'd be an idiot to not acknowledge the truth when it's right in front of my face. At the end of the day, it is what it is, and the world moves on. So, back to this gentleman. His mother was probably pedestalized by the Black women she was surrounded by. She most likely didn't get the same treatment from her own people. And look, as far as this video goes, we as Black women need to do better. We need to be cognizant of the way we are perceived by other groups of people, especially when it comes to being used for acts of service. There are so many people out there who see us as, quote unquote, the help, and will utilize our kindness to achieve what they want. Now, here's the thing. There was something else he said that I found extremely problematic. He said a lot of his supporters are Black women. Now look, I'm not here to police who you support. As individuals, you can do whatever you want. However, what I'd really like to know is this. What is it about his content that Black women find so appealing? That's all. Just because a man of another race pays Black women a compliment doesn't mean it's flattering or that they mean it. We are always out here doing everything for others when a lot of these people don't even care about our existence. This one-sided relationship is very parasitic, and we need to stop offering ourselves up for abuse. Everybody takes from Black women, but gives nothing back. We're the most neglected and disrespected group of people on this planet. We're basically the red carpet that everybody else gets to walk on, use, and showcase their privilege. And once they're done, they roll us up and throw us in the trash. It's time to say no. And it's time to stop being lured by fancy word salad. Save that love for yourselves, Black women, and burn the cape. Set fire to these emotionally induced plantation tactics. Just say no. Let's move on to the next story. So, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably seen and heard what happened when this Asian woman said the following. Let's take a listen.
You guys, okay, I'm gonna say something kind of wild, but it's because I saw it somewhere. But I don't know if we might have to cut it out. But anyways, someone said that the reason why some girls are tighter than others is because... Used. Huh? Huh? No. It has nothing to do with that. They said that it's because, like, ethnicity-wise, like Black men have, are known to have larger. So therefore, the women have
that makes sense.
Bigger holes.
No, that doesn't make sense at all.
And of course, that didn't go down very well with Black women, and rightly so. This was offensive, untrue, ignorant, diabolical, shameful, pure prejudice, and yes, it was racist and downright disrespectful. After getting much deserved backlash, she then came back with an apology, and I use that term very loosely. Let's take a listen.
Genuine, uncut apology from Esther of the Under the Influence podcast.
Everyone, I want to take this time to address something that has deeply affected many of you. And I want to be completely transparent. I am going to be reading from a prepared statement to ensure that I communicate my emotions, my thoughts, and apologies clearly and sincerely, and so that I don't leave anything out. On my podcast, I discussed a TikTok video that perpetuated dangerous stereotypes, and I know now that I shouldn't have ever brought up those views, even for discussion, and I want to sincerely apologize to the Black community, especially Black women. After my initial apology, I took the time to look at the responses and understand why my words may have fallen short. I aimed for clarity to avoid confusion, but I could see now that it could come off as insincere or dismissive, and that was never my intention. I apologize for not providing the depth that the situation deserved, and I hope that this message can reflect my genuine remorse and my commitment to learning and growing from this. And my intention was never to spread misinformation or to hurt anyone, but I understand that by bringing up those views, that was inappropriate and harmful and hurtful to many of you guys, and for that I am truly, truly sorry. I acknowledge that I made a significant mistake, and I just want to own up to everything. In the clip, I referenced the video that spread false and offensive stereotypes, and now I know how damaging it is to give voice to these harmful ideas. I should have been more mindful and respectful of the impact that my words could have. This whole experience has been a learning process for me, and I understand that as a content creator, my responsibility is to approach these types of sensitive topics with care. I'm committed to being more aware of the impact of my words, especially when it comes to race and personal identity. I understand that this is a deep issue for many of you, and just mentioning it hurt you, and that was never my intent, but I understand that intent doesn't matter when the impact was so hurtful. And I just want to let you guys know that I never want to hurt anyone, and it genuinely makes me sick to my stomach that I hurt you, and I'm sincerely sorry for that. I also want to apologize for taking some time to address this publicly. I had to take some time off of social media to reflect on how I'm going to be better and to prevent this from ever happening again. I understand if some of you guys don't want to hear this, that's completely fair. And I also know that trust isn't easily regained after a mistake like this. I completely understand. And I also know that some of you guys may respond and say that she's only saying sorry just to say sorry, and I want to emphasize that I genuinely want to take accountability for this and that your feelings are valid. Thank you for those that have been patient with me as I learn and grow from this mistake. I take full accountability for everything, and I just want to say that I hope to be able to gain your trust back through my actions. And yeah, thank you for understanding. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening, and take care.
To say that I don't really give a damn about this group of people would be an understatement. For an Asian woman to have the audacity to sit on the internet and spread such putrid lies isn't shocking to me anymore. The majority of them seem to be in denial of how they are viewed. These people have been acting out for quite a while now. They've been crashing out. They look down on Black women all the time. And not only do they do that, they emulate Black culture all the time. They have an entire genre of music mimicking Black American music, especially from the 90s groups. But yet, they still have the time to shit on Black women. They shit on the very people they admire the most. Make it make sense. Let's take a look at the following. And one more thing. So, how's life post-affirmative action? Oh, your numbers have dropped. Ooh, that sounds rough. It sure does. I'm sorry? Oh, you're not being picked? But wait a minute. I thought with black people being out of the way, you were supposed to be selected based on meritocracy. What happened to that? Oh, it didn't work out? So, did you finally figure out that black people were not the issue? Oh, you effed around and found out? Oh my. Well, let's take a listen to the following.
And finally, let's address this nonsense claim that black people are the reason why Asian Americans can't get admission to Harvard or other Ivy League schools. Affirmative action is not your problem, because if you really blamed affirmative action, you would be blaming white women. Why? Because more white women have benefited from affirmative action than every other racial demographic and minority combined. Yet, at no point do these Asian Americans who are anti-black and blame black people for affirmative action even bring up white women. Moreover, over 43% of white admissions to schools like Harvard would not have gotten admissions on credentials alone. They got admitted because they're legacy students. And the data shows that 3/4 of those white students were not qualified academically, meaning they took the spot of a more qualified black, Latino, or Asian person. But it's funny how these anti-black Asians have zero regard for this white supremacist policy of legacy, but they want to blame black people. This is white supremacy in a nutshell. And to those Asians who say, hey, look, I stand with black people, I don't believe in this kind of anti-black racism, that isn't enough. You need to speak out and condemn this injustice with your voice and your actions. Class dismissed.
So back to these quote-unquote podcasters. These people really thought that spouting hatred towards black women is the way to go. Let me tell you something. This wasn't funny, nor was it cute. As the model minority, a lot of them truly believe that cozying up to WS rhetoric for Scooby snacks really is fashionable. But it isn't. It's the difference between Fashion Nova and Dior, and the two simply aren't comparable. A lot of these individuals understand rage farming, and they also know the quickest way to go viral is to talk shit about black women. Works like a charm every single time. Not only is this type of behavior in poor taste, it's extremely diabolical for an Asian woman specifically to be this disrespectful towards the bodies of another group of women. It's extremely uncouth. And you're supposed to be the smart ones? Well, I guess she didn't realize that her attempts to insult black women also affect the perception that people may have on the males of her own group. Because if black women are so stretched out due to black males' BBCs, doesn't that mean that her, as well as the women of her ethnicity being small, is a direct result of men in her community being small? Doesn't that mean that the men in her community carry little cocktail sausages? I'm just saying. And look, I'm not here to speak on behalf of black males. They can do that perfectly, all by themselves. As a black woman, I think I speak for all when I say this. You need to stop getting clout off of us. This is not funny. Cut it out. Cut it out. And as far as the quote-unquote apology goes, very unoriginal. So formulaic. Who pays attention to that garbage anymore? It's the same crap over and over again. No one takes these apologies seriously because there's nothing authentic about them. When we say black women have no friends, we mean just that. We have no friends. At this point, if black women haven't withdrawn their support from all these other problematic groups of people, I don't know what to say. I personally stopped supporting this group a long time ago on account of disrespect. I will not pay money to be disrespected. I will not patronize your business in exchange for snide remarks. I refuse to fund anyone who thinks or believes that I'm less than. Your kind are not better than black women. You'd like to think you are, but you're not. You know, the obsession that some of these people have when it comes to black women's genitals is really weird. You numpties really think we're a different species, don't you? Do I need to remind everyone that this entire shit show was unprovoked? It's almost comical when you fuse ignorance, a lack of humor, a lack of self-awareness, and a lack of personality together. This is what you get as an end result. Pathetic, insular, absolute stupidity, and desperation for clout. There are no boundaries when it comes to such people because they live in their own little bubble where self-reflection and accountability don't exist. If a black woman were to throw the first punch and say derogatory things about this group of women, they would be trying to get a bill passed, screaming bloody murder. Now look, I can understand that when you come from a group of people that are the least interesting, bigotry is the only way to get noticed, I suppose. It's just sad because this was absolutely unwarranted. And like I said, pathetic. I mean, much of your existence, literally from the time you're born, is robotic stoicism that allows you to copy and paste what others have created. Right? Or am I wrong? Either way, use your parental and cultural programming as a base to do right by others. People like myself are no longer accepting fake apologies because you and I both know you can do better, but you choose not to. Your desperate need to dehumanize black women in a feeble attempt to be accepted as part of the dominant society is truly what makes you the ultimate pick-me's. And back to this group of individuals, perhaps they should change their podcast name to Urinary Tract Infection. It's much more fitting than Under the Influence. All I can say is this group of individuals, these quote-unquote podcasters, are trash. Absolute trash. See, you can cosplay as smart people. It doesn't mean you are. And quite frankly, I am not impressed. The model minority keeps crashing out every single time, and not in a good way. Well, now that I've gotten that off my chest, let's take a listen to the following. Fair use, YouTube. Fair use.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with me today. And this is our new look, so you'll see a improved way that we are able to communicate with you so that you can communicate with the public. We're going to talk about Operation Skin So Soft, and we decided on that title because as we were auditing massage parlors, which we normally do for compliance with the law to make sure this sort of thing doesn't have, one of these ladies said, "Oh, your skin's so soft, you must work inside." Well, sometimes we work in massage parlors. But that's what we were doing on this particular occasion. In fact, we audited 22 massage parlors and found 12 of them were not in compliance with the law. Not only were they not in compliance with the law, but they were doing additional things that were illegal, such as prostitution. So we had 21 arrests. There's some interesting facts about this. All 21 of these ladies are not only Asian, but they're from the Republic of China, a communist country. 3 of them are citizens at this time. The rest of them are here on legal work visas. I don't think the federal government had in mind this kind of work when they gave them a work visa, but they're here anyway. We also found it interesting that when we looked at their addresses, one's from Lakeland, but many of them move around the country. So they're sent here for a while. One lady said she came from a small town in Oklahoma. One's from New York City. But all of them are from China. It makes you wonder. The oldest is 64 years of age that we arrested. The youngest was 31 years of age. 8 of them claimed to have been married. All of these Asian ladies or Chinese ladies, by their own admission, were at Asian massage parlors. And we have to show you some of the more bizarre events. I'll start out with the most bizarre. And as I pronounce their names, understand I'm born and raised in Polk County, Florida, and these names are from the Republic of China, okay? So I'm just saying. So we don't know if her name is Hing-Ah, Hung, or Jinx Hung, or whatever, but this is who she is. We'll give you the appropriate spelling, and you give it your best shot. She's 60 years of age. I'm sorry, she's 37 years of age. She charged $60 for a massage. Now, this was supposed to be a legitimate massage. My undercover agents asked only for a regular, legal massage. But she started upcharging and inappropriately handling, in fact, tried to have full sex with this undercover detective, to the point that he had to push her off and start to get up to leave. She was extremely aggressive, at which point she grabbed him, tried to get him to sit back down. She stood in front of the door so he couldn't leave, and then she tried to hold him down.
That's not very demure, is it? It's not very cooperative, feminine, and friendly, is it? Well, let's continue.
Now understand, they said this was really interesting because this is a big man, undercover detective, and they said, might have been 5 foot tall. She wasn't as big as a popcorn fart, and she was trying to hold this man down. So anyway, she obviously not only got arrested for prostitution, but a litany of other charges that included battery. Then there's Yan Lu. She's from Winter Garden. I neglected to say that Mrs. Hong here was from East Valley, California. So here's one from California. Yan Lu is 64 years of age. She was from Winter Garden. She was paid $60 for 45 minutes of sex. She left the room and she came back with a condom. Now, this was not in a commercial package, but it was wrapped up in like paper, maybe used, okay? And tried to have sex with the undercover. And the undercover she upcharged $290 for a total of $350. She was very, very aggressive. He said, I didn't say one word about illegal massages, happy endings, nothing. And she was aggressive to the point that she actually tried to have sex with him. She got arrested, as you can imagine, for a litany of charges.
Aggressive? Wow. It sounds like she couldn't take no for an answer and tried to grape that man? Anyway, I think I've made my point, and hopefully it's been received. So I'll leave it there. Can I just say shout out to Sheriff Grady for cracking down on Operation Skin So Soft. And here's the thing. Someone in the comment section called it Operation Blue Balls. Well, you're not that far off. Either way, that was a funny comment. At least their comment was based on actual events and not lies, and pure hatred for another group. But I digress. Looking down on black women when your own image is tattered isn't very smart, because I can assure you that when anyone hears the words, "love you long time," the first thing that comes to mind isn't a black woman. I'm just saying, let's do us both a favor and make respect trendy again. Oh, and one more thing.
I'm gonna say something kind of wild, but it's because I saw it somewhere. But I don't know if we might have to cut it out. But anyways, someone said that the reason why some girls tighter than others is because, huh? No. It has nothing to do with that. They said that it's because, like, ethnicity-wise, like black men have, are known to have larger, so therefore the women have
That makes sense.
bigger.
Oh, that doesn't make sense at all. Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Okay, so that is the clip in question. Now, it seems like Esther had her instincts intact when she was talking about this. And she said, you know what, we may need to cut this out. They didn't end up cutting it out. It did get posted, and now it's gone viral. And you know what? I don't think this is a conversation that necessarily needs to be cut out. In listening to her, it sounded like she was just curious about this topic, wanted to bring up the conversation, had heard this bit of information somewhere, and wanted to go back and forth talking about it. I don't see anything particularly wrong with that. It didn't seem like she was making fun of black women or trying to bring them down, being derogatory in any way, shape, or form. She might have been saying an ill-informed comment, which we're going to get to in just a little bit, but I don't think there's anything wrong with having these types of conversations. And the fact that she mentions, maybe we should cut this out and just, have the conversation outside of putting it in the podcast is sort of telling. These are conversations that amongst friends, we can talk about private things. We can talk about these sorts of ideas that we may have or have heard and discuss the validity of them back and forth. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think she was trying to vocalize her disdain for black women or say that they're lesser than or make any sort of derogatory comparison between black women and other women, but it's being interpreted that way.
If you don't know who this young lady is, let me fill you in. She's a content creator right here on YouTube who goes by the name Amala Ekpenobi. Now, Amala is biracial, white American mother and black Nigerian father. So why is her racial mix important? I'll elaborate on that in just a moment. But first, this question is to all black women with black mothers. As if there's any other type of black woman? But anyway, let's get serious for a moment. My question is this. Does Amala have the right to accept this kind of apology or speak on behalf of the black female collective when she herself isn't black? What are your thoughts on this? Personally, I find her comments to be extremely problematic because in the spirit of trying to seem fair and balanced, she's ignoring the disrespect and dehumanization of an entire group of women. And this is what I believe. The reason she can't relate to the black plight is because 1, she's not a black woman. 2, she doesn't have the black experience of someone whose mother is black. Amala has a habit of pretending to see nuance in every single issue, especially when it comes to race. It appears to me that she's almost too afraid to tell the truth for fear of offending her core audience, who are non-black people. Now, from a monetary point of view, I can somewhat understand why she wouldn't want to offend the other side. However, she clearly doesn't have an issue going against the disrespected, and in this case, black women. She naively wants to believe that everything can be explained away. You see, sometimes things are as simple as black and white. End of story. The reason that Asian woman said the thing she said is because that's how she really feels. Forget that story she gave. Forget all the other excuses. And listen, while Amala is allowed her own opinion, so is everybody else. And my thoughts on this are, I find her views disingenuous because as a mixed white woman, okay, yeah, you heard me correctly, that's what she is, especially coming from the womb of a white woman. She would rather offend black women than say anything about women who look like her mother or those who are considered higher than black women on the racial hierarchy. Lastly, she's 23 years old. Perhaps she should leave these types of conversations, these heavy topics, to actual grown-ups. That's it, and that's all. On that note, what are your thoughts on what's been discussed here today? Please leave your thoughts and comments down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And remember, ladies, the disrespect will always be there. The dehumanization will always be there. We have the right to defend ourselves however we see fit. We must not only divest from familiar situations that no longer serve our purpose, we must also divest from communities of people who devalue and disrespect us. Because quite frankly, we don't need this shit. Divest from Blackistan. Divest from bigoted ethnic minorities. Divest from pygmy communities who have ambitions of reigning supreme over you. Divest like a butterfly, and I'll see you next time. Bye, diamonds.